Plus, I'm going to be doing the poppy demo tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and get my camera switched around real quick so that we can do this demo. There we go. All right. And so this is the poppy. Okay, and I've got my art journal here all ready to go. So I'm going to start with the poppy, and then there's a part where things need to dry. All right, so the first thing I want to do is kind of sketch out, as I always do, a little bit, just the shape of the poppy. Okay, so I've got my orientation of this. I want you to see, so it's facing slightly upwards and to the right. So when I come down here, I want to get close enough that you can see. I understand that some of you like to see what I'm painting from, but it's better for you to see how it's done. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is figure out where my center is. So the center on the flower is where I'm going to make a little sketch line right here. All right, and this center is about 2 fingers wide. So I want to put a little smile that's aimed up in that upper right corner, right here on my paper. Okay, and then I'm going to come back from that about 4 fingers. So back from that, and that's going to be the outside edge of my petals on that side. Okay, and so they're going to come in on each other and overlap, etc. And I don't want to sketch this too dark because the red that we use tends to be transparent, and I don't want it to show through too much. Okay, so going around the outside of my poppy lightly, just making sure that they're fairly much the same distance. All right, now the back side of it's going to be just a little higher because we've got the distance of the top of my center right here, and then 4 fingers out, or plus 4 fingers out, so that it looks like it's falling or tipping over that way. Okay, and then we'll come around with another petal here. All right, and then finish up with a couple that are falling over this way. Okay, and then we have in here one that's wavy. So think about poppies as they're growing in the field, if you've ever seen them. Okay, and they come in. If you're looking down into the poppy, this is what you're seeing. You're kind of, they look very crepe papery, and they ripple like this. Okay, so when you're looking straight down into it, you're going to see that look a lot more apparent on this edge versus over here it's going to look a lot flatter. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to convey here, is the part that you have these ripples here, and then as you get further away they're more laid out. Okay, and then right in about here is where our stem is going to come. Now the stems always originate from behind the center. All right, and then when you come back from the center, you're going to have an imaginary line that comes out until you get to where the stem would appear, right? So I need to shift that just slightly. All right, and then this is it's going to come right in between a couple of these petals. Okay, because these petals flip and flop all over the place, and so the stems are very skinny stems, and they tend to fall over quite easily. Now my little message about poppies. Poppies are grown all over the Italian countryside. They actually grow wild in Italy, so I'm really excited to see that someday. It's best known as a flower of remembrance. That's why you see a lot of people wearing the little poppy pins and buttons and things on their lapels, especially for our soldiers, for remembering our fallen soldiers and their sacrifice and bloodshed. So the blood color tends to be represented by the redness in the poppy. All right, and a lot of people wear them on Memorial Day in the US, and Remembrance Day or Armistice Day in the UK or regions that are affiliated with the UK. Poppies are also known in Greek and Roman mythology as representing death or sleep. Okay, so remember in Wizard of Oz, and the Wicked Witch made a field of poppies, and she said poppies would make her sleep, make them sleep. That's where that came from. I didn't know that. I always wondered because I never could figure out why she would say that. Right. All right, so I'm putting out my colors, and I've got several different values running through here. So I've got my red, which is my medium value. This is the apple red. And then I have my darker value of red, which would be the berry wine. And then I've got a brighter color for the edges and line work in the petals. That's pure orange. And then for some of the highlights and my center, I've got some moon yellow, okay? And then I need something a little bit darker for my center. I have the berry wine, but I'm also going to be using some burnt umber, okay? And then to add a little bit of highlight to my center, also I'm going to need a little bit of wicker white. My stem is going to have a touch of green with some of the yellow. So that's sap green. All right, and then I'm going to put some medium here in the center. Okay, so I need a big brush. I'm working with my 3/4 flat, and I need a lot of medium. Okay, because I'm on paper, I need to have quite a bit of medium to help that flow. Okay, and I'm going to set this aside or up where I can see it so that I can get my palette over here and you can see. Normally I would do it this way, but my camera doesn't look straight on to my left, so I got to do it on this side. Okay, so lots and lots of medium, and I'm going to pick up a whole bunch of, I'm oopsed right off the bat. I need to put my dark center in first. So I'm going to go with a little bit of medium and the berry wine. All right, so I'm just starting out with berry wine. And so remember I said here is my bottom of my center. So from that line right there, all right, I'm going to touch and pull out very quickly, pull out. I flick it out from push and lift, let it feather out from that center around into the petals coming away from the center. Okay, a little more medium and berry wine. All right, and I'm going to come out up around here and do some more. So I'm coming up. Notice this is darker and this is a little bit lighter, okay, because the light's going to be reflecting. And I can actually fill in this whole area right here as long as I remember where my center line is. All right, so you're going to flick out from that with the berry wine and medium. And I'm following the flow of my petals. Okay. Notice this is also longer coming up here through the center. Now, back in here where I have overlapping petals, I'm going to put some dark under there, but that comes in after I'm done with my petal stroking. So that's part of that thing where I have to let it dry while I do something else. Okay. All right, now I'm going to go with a lot of medium and the red, the apple red. Okay, and then at the same time, I'm going to come and side stroke some pure orange. And I want you to see how much paint I have on my brush. I've got a lot of paint because I'm up on paper and I'm going to need it. Ooh, apparently I stuck my thumb in brown too. Okay, so sorry about that, just had to take a quick bath. Okay, so coming from the center, I want to work out onto these petals, but the first ones I want to do are the ones that are in the back behind, okay? So I'm going to start with this one right back in here. So let me come down now, and then just know that every time I'm going for paint, I'm getting more of this red and orange. Okay, so I'm going to start on my chisel and I've got the orange to the outside. I'm going to come and make some smooth ripples and then pull back in towards the center, creating that big petal. Okay, now picking up some more of that color, orange and red, I'm going to touch and push down here and pull it into that dark red. Okay, I'm not going past the edge of the rippled edge that I did here. I'm just coming up to it, touching and pressing and pulling back. And see all the streaks that I get when I do that? I don't think that's showing up for you guys very well, but there are streaks of orange showing up in there. Okay. All right, so continuing on, I'm picking up the red and the orange. And so that's this one. And then the next one that underlays is coming to be over here. So coming again from the center, out, oranges to the outside, making some smooth ripples, and then pulling back into the center. Okay. Then I'm going to touch here and pull, touch and pull, touch and pull. So you have to see that the stroke comes and follows the bend of the petal. Okay, so these petals are bending up this way. All right, continuing on. Now I can do these ones that are coming around, and I'll finish with the one that falls over. All right, so I've got all this red and orange on my brush. I'm going to stroke out from the center, make my little waves, and come back. See there? So see that gap that it leaves right there? You're going to then take that same colored brush with all that paint I've got on there. You're going to push here and pull in. And you want to be careful. You don't want to keep doing it. If you don't like the stroke, maybe one more time is fine, but that's about it. Okay, I'm grabbing orange on the chisel edge now and pulling in, pull in. All right, so see again, we're creating that cup. All right, continuing on, then I'm going to have, now my petals are going to start to come up and to the right. All right, now I need more paint and a little more medium. All right, so I've got the orange on the top edge. And this one is a big petal, comes all the way over here and then pulls back into the center. All right, see how big that is? Now I'm going to grab the orange on my chisel edge. I'm going to come up here to, let me turn this slightly so you can get a better angle. Right here, see the angle of my brush? Push and then slide into that center. All right, I'll flip the brush over because I have color on that side. Push and pull in, push and pull in. Grab some more orange, come out here, push, pull in, pull in. See that? Creates all those stripes. So now it looks like it's kind of falling over away from me. Okay, continuing on with the same colors. I keep checking to see if you guys have any questions. And it looks like everyone is watching. Okay, so wonderful. All right, going around outside again with my orange. I need a little more orange because it's blended with that red, so it's lost its brighter edge. These are smooth wiggles. They're not heavy or they're not tight, okay? All right, so can you see that? I'm going to turn so you can see a little better. All right, picking up the orange on the chisel edge, I'm going to come right here, push. And when I push, see how it spreads out my bristles? And then pull back to the center. Do it in a smooth, single motion so that you don't lose the pretty streaks. If you stop it in the middle, you won't have the pretty streaks. Pull it back, pull it back, pull it back. Okay. So all of that curved back in this way. All right, so now we just have this pretty one that kind of hangs over in front. So I'm going to come here, make sure I've got a good load of paint on my brush and I've got medium. All right, so this is what I'm doing. I'm going to come over here and kind of work this in just a little. All right, and then now I'm going to come and side stroke just a touch of the moon yellow. I keep wanting to say school bus. And work that in so it's a little bit brighter. It'll sit up on top of my petals now. Okay, so I'm going to come from right in here. Notice that the light edge is facing me. Okay, so coming from in here, I'm going to overlap this petal and then make little sweeps up, 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 and then pull back into the center. So see those pretty colors there? Now I'm going to come and grab my orange on my chisel, push here at an angle and pull back. Push and pull back. Flip the brush over, push and pull back. Okay? So see all those pretty streaks of colors? You want to do that and leave it, or you will lose all those pretty streaks and it'll turn all into one color, and we don't want that. All right, so now the final one is that one that was here in the middle kind of wiggling around. Right, so I'm going to side stroke some more yellow on my lighter edge. I got plenty of red on my brush, plenty of medium. Okay, so this petal comes from the center. Remember, my center line is right here. And my light color to the outside edge. So I'm going to come up straight and then start to make ripples. Now I'm going to do that roll forward and rock back. Make a few ripples and pull back. Okay, now from here, let me grab a little bit of orange on that chisel edge. I don't want to mess up this pretty ripple right here, but I can pull back here and here. Okay, so what I might do here is sweep it this way. There we go. Okay, I'm going to pull in some dark right in there, so I'm not too worried, and I'm going to put in some dark inside that curl. All right, so this is the point at which I'm going to say I want to, well, no, let me not set it yet. I want to come back in now with my berry wine. All right, so I just wiped off my brush and I'm picking up berry wine. No medium this time. All right, and remember, this is my center smile right there. Okay, so I'm going to touch on that smile and pull back, touch and pull back, and I'm checking my brush to see if I'm picking up some of that red. See right there, I picked it up, so I can put it back down. If I do pick up some of the lighter colors as I'm stroking this out, I want to go wipe that off my brush before I come back, because I don't want to put light into my center. All right, so sweeping up short little strokes, and see I picked up some yellow right there, so I'm going to wipe that off on my paper towel, come back and make sure I've got good berry wine on there, and then I'll come right in here and pull this out. See there, I picked up more yellow, wipe that off. How many of you have done that and not wiped it off and then got upset because you messed up your dark inner colors there, right? Okay, and so one last one right in here. There we go. Wipe off that yellow anywhere you picked it up. Okay, so now up in this area, I can come and pull from my center out, out, out. Flip the brush over if you need it. And I'm not too worried about this being lighter because I want it to look a little lighter since it's on the back side of the center. Okay, and I can take the corner of my brush here with some of that berry wine. And now I'm going to get a little bit of burnt umber on that corner too and make this really dark right here in the center. So corner, I'm just kind of sweeping this back and forth just to darken that center. All right, now I'm going to let this whole thing sit and dry up. So the center is, where did I, oh, it's back here. So the center is a combination of small leaves, dots, and some pouncing, okay? And then we're going to do some shading as well. One color I forgot to get out is some yellow ochre. Excuse me. I thought I had it out, but I didn't. Okay. So I've got yellow ochre and some moon yellow. we've got all this dark in here. I'm going to take my small scruffy, and I want to get some of the burnt umber, and I'm going to come over here and pounce into the yellow ochre. Okay, and so we're going to come in and create, oops, that is a little wet still. And my paper is, keep sticking my hand in it. That's dry. Okay, so right in here, and with the light color up, I'm going to make a back round shape like that. Okay, let me come down so you can see that a little better. There we go. So I made a back round shape and then a front round shape coming in like a curve like that. Okay, and it can kind of touch a little bit so it gives it some height. See that? There we go. All right, then I'm going to tap into some of the moon yellow, and I'm going to create some light edges right in there. See, little bits of light. Right, so now I'm going to come in and I've got yellow ochre on my 2 flat, and I'm going to create a little leaf halo around this center. Okay, so they're just tiny little points coming out, 2 flat. Occasionally I can pick up some of that moon yellow, and I'm happy when it grabs some of the dark that's already in there, so I don't have to add it to my brush. Because double loading a 2 flat is tricky. Okay, so we're just coming around and making little shapes. Let me grab just a little bit of berry wine on one side of that brush. Yeah, that's not going to show up. Okay, let me grab some of the yellow ochre with it. I just want it to tint slightly so it's part of that berry wine color, but with a little bit of the yellow ochre. So I'm taking both on the brush here. There we go. And letting it come out. Just short little strokes with a tip. Okay. Now I might side stroke just a touch of white and do a few in between. They come out a little further on the sides, so it gives it more of an oval shape. There we go. And I'm trying to get a double load on this brush because it needs to be darker over here. Here we go. Just little hints of those shapes with the yellow ochre and the berry wine popping out here and there. Okay, so now what I want to do, trying to keep this up so there's no glare, there we go, is grab some of that burnt umber, come right in here and tap, come right in here. Now grab some berry wine, that was burnt umber that we put in the middle, so grab some berry wine here and tap up in that center, right? And then the last thing I did was I wiped that off, I grabbed some white on the corner of my brush, and here and there I put little dots of white on the yellow tips and over some of this brown. Little dots of white. All right, and you can put a few, maybe more of the yellow, the moon yellow. A few, right? Moon yellow right on top of this. Okay. All right, so that's our pretty center. And then the last thing we want to do, we've got all that dark in there now, but we want to come and do some definition of the dark and the light in the petals, okay? So I'm going to take my 12 flat, I'm going to load it with medium, and I'm going to side stroke some burnt umber and some berry wine, okay, for my shading. I want the berry wine because it's the reddish tint of the flower, and then adding the brown to it in the burnt umber is going to give me just a little bit darker value without going to black, okay? You could use green also. All right, so right in here, I'm going to come up underneath this petal. So I'm going to come around like this, push that back a little bit. This is where I did that little swoop, so I can come right in there and darken that up. My paint is still just a tad wet. Yes, I could use my hairdryer. And then following along that curve there, okay? So that's going to help that pop out. And so from there, I can come and do underneath this petal here and even pull out a little bit to create a stronger shadow there, okay? All right, so that's going to help deepen that tone, and then I can separate these two petals here. I can come along here and do a little bit of shading right between those two petals there. And then let me back up just a hair so now you can see how this is coming to life. See how pretty that is now with all that dark in there? Okay, so I can come in between my petals and pull that back just into that dark area there. I can come through here, all right, and separate those. So see how that made that petal just pop right out there? Same thing here. And I don't want to carry it up this edge of the petal. I just want it to separate those two. Okay, so I've got all those here, and then right in there, letting that one sit on top of that. So look at how wow that looks now. Okay, now the other thing I did, let me clean that off there. I came along, I side loaded some of the Moon Yellow on this clean brush, okay, and I came along on some of these edges here, and you see this highlight that I just put on here, and then pull it back. Okay, there's a little bit of water in my brush, and that's what's helping me. Up here, and then pull it back. I don't want necessarily that hard line up there, I just want some of that lighter color. Okay, maybe right in here. So just in spots, not the entire petal. That way it makes it look more interesting and that it's got folds and ripples, okay? So you're not highlighting the entire length of every petal edge. All right, and then the final thing I did, I came in and got a little bit of that red on that same corner. Maybe some medium to help me. I don't know if I need it or not, but so it's just a side-loaded brush with the red. And I looked for places where I needed to have the petal come back into the center. Okay, so on the chisel edge, I'm just pulling some red back over that dark. Right in here. Okay, and right there, so that you don't lose that differentiation going into the dark center. Right, see that? I think it needs to be a little heavier on my brush and then pulled. It doesn't help that we're on paper and the paper is a little rippled. There we go. So see how that just made that petal stand up a little more coming out of the center? It's not just standing up out here, it's all the way down in there. Okay, right in here. All right, and so to finish, I'm going to double load this same brush with my green and yellow. mostly green. So this is sap green. Okay, it's just kind of a muddy mess, but I'm going to have this come from this petal, underneath this petal right here, and come off my page. Okay, and then if I need to add a little bit of highlight, I can side load a little bit of white and highlight the back side of this. There we go. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that demo. And for those of you who are excited to see how it's done, I hope that was all you wanted it to be.